Hi guys, it's TechBoy here with yet another video. This video is talking about Apple's October 2013 event and the expectations that I have for the event itself. Due to quite an overwhelming response for my September 2013 event video, with at least 90% of the views for that video happening literally hours before the event itself occurred, and a few hours therefore after the event occurred, I've decided to, despite having exams and that coming up, just make a quick video on what is happening in the October 2013 event based on the latest rumours and all of that, and what you should be expecting. So let's get started. Obviously, when you refer to these Apple events coming up, you've always got to refer back to the rumours. Kind of deja vu, isn't it? And the three major components to this event will be the iPad 5, the iPad Mini 2, and updates to the Mac lineup, including software and hardware. If you click on any of these now, you will be able to jump to that relevant point in the video itself. But obviously, if you've just clicked on the iPad 5 logo, you haven't skipped much into the video, because we're going to start to talk about that right now. The iPad 4 was out in October 2012, which was just 7 months after the iPad 3, or the new iPad, meaning the iPad 5 will be the new iPad. Just a joke I make. Check out my top 5 features in the iPad 5th generation rumours. I'll be sure to leave a link for it in the description below. The release date for the iPad 5 is rumoured to be November the 1st, which is Friday week after the event starts. So expect pre-orders to happen on Friday, October the 25th, if they occur, because they didn't do that for the iPhone 5S. So the question is, will they do that for this? Time will tell. The video regarding the top 5 features that I was expecting was produced when everyone thought it was going to come out in March, because iPad 1, 2, and 3, which was called the new iPad, were all announced in March 2013, and everyone thought this iPad 4 was just a one-off mid-cycle thing. But as it turns out, basically Apple's changed the launch date for multiple reasons, and it makes perfect sense. It's to release it before Christmas to drive their sales. It makes absolute perfect sense why they've done that, and I'm sure that's not going to change in years to come unless something drastic happens. I still stand by everything I said in the top 5 video. However, it will come with iOS 7.0.3, which will just be bug fixes and all that, or iOS 7.1 out of the box. It won't have NFC because the 5S didn't get it. It may have Touch ID sensor. Based on Unbox Therapy, they worked out that the Touch ID sensor could fit in the leaked iPad 5 front bezel thing that leaked earlier. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. And they could roll this out so that they could do multiple account login in iOS 8 in 2014. But there was no point releasing that in iOS 7 if there aren't enough devices out there that are capable with the feature. So by the time they release iOS 8, presumably in a year's time, there will be a lot more devices that are capable of using Touch ID, making it a more beneficial software update. 8 megapixel camera is still rumoured, but it may be more like the iPhone 5 camera, I'm personally thinking, because it's not going to be the 5S, more because it's probably going to lack the 120 frames per second slow motion video recording and burst mode features in order to have a selling point to get the iPhone 5S over the iPad 5 just for those couple of features. The A7 chip will be called A7X, despite it having the same quad-core processor in the A7 chip. Yes, the iPhone 5S does have a quad-core graphics chip in it, but the A7X will probably have extra processing and graphics power compared to the A7 chip in the iPhone 5S, hence why they'll call it X, so there's a differentiator. And it will probably come in space grey and silver, they're almost guaranteed, and potentially a gold version. Time will tell if it will come in gold. So let's move on right along now to talk about the iPad Mini 2 with a Retina display. I really do think that if they're going to release a second generation iPad Mini this year, it will have a Retina display. So the specs I'm expecting are the same 7.9-inch display, but it will be a Retina display, meaning it will be 2048 pixels by 1536, same as the iPad 3 and 4, which will result in 324 pixels per inch. In comparison, the iPad 3, or new iPad you could say, and the iPad 4th generation, which is the current one, as of when this video was made, has 264 pixels per inch. The iPhone 4, 4S, 5, 5C, and 5S all have 326 pixels per inch. So the iPad Mini 2 is basically the same resolution and quality in terms of compared to the iPhone line, as if you're going to see a difference of 2 pixels per inch more on the iPhone 5S compared to the iPad Mini 2. Basically, it's exactly the same display. So next, same 5 megapixel camera as the first generation iPad, because they'll put an 8 megapixel in the iPad 5 as a differentiator, as a selling point. Same A6X chip with 1GB of RAM as the iPad 4, but they'll put 2GB of RAM in the iPad 5 with the A7X chip in order to make that a differentiator. It will come in space grey, silver, and maybe gold, just like the iPad 5, but it will probably come in the same range of colours as the iPhone 5S, which has already been announced and released. It will be around the same thickness as the iPad Mini first generation, but rumours are saying it could be 0.2 or 0.3 millimeters thicker in order to accommodate for the Retina display. Now, if you think about it, Apple's come out with these smart covers that you can put on top of the iPad Mini from 2012. Presumably they'll fit the iPad Mini 2 2013 model exactly the same, because there's no back cover for it, but all of these tight-fitting cases for the original iPad Mini, who knows if they're going to fit with the iPad Mini 2, time will tell. And it will maintain the same price points as previous generation, but it may cost more in Australia because of conversion rates, the shipping costs, and the alleged Apple tax. And I'll have a little rant about that later, but more on pricing later in this video. So let's finally talk about the Macs. And the star of the show is, without doubt, going to be the Mac Pro. So they announced this at WWDC 2013, and the only two things they haven't announced were the official release date and the announcement of official specs in each configuration available, and what upgrade options will be available based on each base model configuration, you could say. Also, a lot of people are expecting there to be a MacBook Pro update, which in a sense means it will receive the Intel Haswell chips, just like the MacBook Air did this year compared to the 2012 model. So I really think that MacBook Pros will receive the same treatment this year as the 2013 MacBook Air did earlier this year at WWDC. Basically just being better battery life and updated Haswell chips and maybe the odd little bit here and there. But otherwise it will look exactly the same. And OS X Mavericks, which is the next version of the world's most advanced desktop operating system, according to Apple, will be released. They will announce an official release date, and there will be an announcement of how much it will cost to upgrade from OS X Mountain Lion, which was US $19.99 US to upgrade from Lion to Mountain Lion. But the question is, how much will it cost to upgrade from Mountain Lion to Mavericks? Time will tell. I'd imagine the price will either stay the same or go down to $9.99 as more of an incentive. And they'll list all of the eligible Mac computers that can run the new operating system, just like they have done when they said how an app in OS X Mountain Lion is compatible on only certain MacBooks. They'll announce something very similar like that in terms of what Mac computers can run OS X Mavericks and get the best use out of it. So before I end this video, I just wanted to quickly just say a few minor predictions that I had while making this video. The iPad 5 will sell at the same price point as the iPad 4, but it may receive double the storage capacity, meaning base model, 32GB Wi-Fi only model, black or white, or even gold, for $4.99 US, obviously more in Australia. The question is, will they double the storage for the iPads and not do it for the iPhones? I guess it makes more sense to do it for an iPad because they've already done a 128GB model, so they'll double the storage in every capacity and, in a sense, not have a 256GB model. I mean, who's going to use 256 gig? I mean, that's just insane. The Australian tax is being significantly more this year compared to previous years, as demonstrated with the iPhone 5S, and it will presumably push up the prices for all new Apple products that are released from now on. Updates will be announced at the start, including Tim Cook coming out and saying how many iOS devices out of the 700 million, presumably, are running the latest version of iOS, and they'll probably say over half of all the hardware devices that we have sold are running the new operating system and having to go at Google and Android and all that, and how they can't upgrade as easily, which is one of the selling points to get an iOS device. iPad mini 2 will sell at the same prices as the iPad mini first generation, I reckon, but it won't have as much of an update to it as the iPad 5, for example, if they put Touch ID in the iPad 5. More as an incentive for people to get the iPad 5 over the iPad mini 2, despite it having basically almost the same internals and iPad mini 2 being more portable than the iPad 5. The Macs will probably be announced first in terms of layout for the presentation. Then they'll do like what they did last year. They announced iPad 4 and then they rotated and showed the iPad mini. I really think they'll show the iPad mini 2 first and talk about it. Then they'll rotate and show the iPad 5. Reason being is that they'll do it so they can say that they took everything they learnt about the iPad and made the iPad mini, and they basically reversed that operation and took everything they learnt about making the iPad mini and applied that to the iPad 5. Hence why smaller bezels, redesigned chassis and all that. And obviously Phil Schiller will wear jeans. And that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. The question for you, the audience, is Macs or iPads? Which are you more excited for? So you can let me know by leaving a comment in the section below. I'm personally looking forward to iPads, by the way. And you can leave, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like, and if you choose to, subscribe to my channel. All the likes and subscriptions to my channel, they're greatly appreciated, and they help motivate me to make these videos despite the times I'm in, such as when I'm doing exams at the moment. Speaking of exams, uni life and all of that, I'm not pushing out as many videos as I probably would have liked to have done. And Google, on the other hand, has made Google Plus almost, you could say, mandatory for all the YouTube accounts out there to have a Google Plus account that's linked to the channel. So I now have a Google Plus account with the same name as this channel. So if you follow me on there, I am sure I will definitely release updates and all of that regarding this October 2013 event, and also throughout the life of this channel, as a way so you don't have to check my channel every 2 seconds if you have a Google Plus account. So you can look at all the status updates I have regarding events and all that. So if something major gets announced and I want to put my opinion out there quickly, I'll probably do it through Google Plus, because I probably don't have the time to do it through making a video and all that. So that's it for now, and until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later.